Okay guys, so I am back. It is later. You kind of saw the intro to my vlog was literally just like a plane flying into where we were playing golf today, which was tons of fun. Very hard course though, and I haven't been feeling great all day. I'm thankfully feeling a little bit better now, and it's 6:45, which sucks. But I am just kind of like relaxing right now. I did some more review work that I had to get done, and yeah, so I've been doing that. I had a chance to have a whole bunch of vitamin C, and yeah, I'm just thankfully feeling better now, but I was not feeling good at all after I got back from golf. So I am just gonna turn on the oven because my dad is coming home from coaching up in Barrie. He had a game today. They tied their game and they won their game yesterday, so he is 1-0-1 for his season so far. To shout out to him for doing well to start off their season. And also, something I want to talk about a little bit later is something I didn't get a chance to mention before of Apple's event that was last week. I'm trying to think of exactly what day it was. I'm thinking it was Wednesday, I think the event was. I'm not 100% sure. But I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about some of the things that I found really interesting that they talked about, and possibly some of the things that I would like to purchase from Apple when they actually do come out. Okay guys, so what I was talking about earlier, about what I wanted to order from the Apple event. Now, I think that Apple made a lot of very good points. I think that the iPhone X that they're coming out with is going to be a very, very good phone. However, I don't believe that it is going to be a revolutionary phone in as many ways as they described it to be. See, now look, some of you will probably hate me for saying this, and I use an Apple phone, so I love Apple and I love what they stand for on a lot of levels. However, they constantly feel entitled, if you will, to the ownership of having original ideas and all of this kind of stuff. And it's not to say that they don't have original ideas, but it always seems like Samsung has done it first, or another company has done it first in some way. Now, many of you may not know, if you only ever had an Apple and you were inside the little bubble of only having an Apple, but simple facial recognition has been out for a very long time. And I understand that Apple is talking about how they've made it so much better, it's impossible to just do it and crack into it with just a simple photo of somebody. And it's all 3D imaging and stuff, and there's all these kind of aspects to it. However, it's been out for a long time. It's not a very recent thing. I remember having a phone a couple years ago that you could unlock it with your face, and I had tried it with photos and stuff of me, flat photos, and it didn't work. So I understand that they've tried to incorporate this, but I don't think it's a bad thing. However, there is a huge problem with it. Now, one of the biggest things I want to mention is the fact that there is no longer a home button. And I see a huge problem with this because of not necessarily security reasons, but convenience reasons. Now, when you pick up your phone, you aren't necessarily holding it like this, or at this angle, or like this, so that the actual scanner can see you. You sometimes have it flat on the table like this, and you could be way further away from the camera, from the actual sensors, than it is able to detect. This being the only way, other than if you mess it up, if it doesn't recognize your face, because not everything is perfect, and at the Apple event it did not work the first time, that you can't simply unlock your phone by hitting the home button. There's no more home button. You can hit it on the side, but you have to try the facial recognition first before you actually are able to open up the phone in a different way.
Here is iPhone 10. Now, unlocking it is as easy as looking at it and swiping up. And, let's try that again. Ho, ho, ho. Let's go to backup here.
Now, you're probably thinking, well, Sandra, you must have a bias or something against Apple or towards Samsung. No, I don't have any bias towards any company in particular. I very soon will be in the market for a new phone. In the meantime, I constantly am doing research on what is the latest and greatest phone, because I want to be able to have the best technology possible in a phone. And if I have to do extensive research, and if I have to go through every single idea that I can think of, if I have to compare every single last spec down to its CPU scores and all of that kind of stuff, I will do that. And I plan on doing that on this channel and in my personal time as well. And you guys deserve to know the information as well. But this is just my perspective. And you can take whatever perspective you want. If you are just solely an Apple fan and you love it for the simple reason, and one of the reasons that I might stay with Apple above everything else, is because of iMessage for many, many reasons. Convenience being one of the biggest ones. But yeah, so if you are an Apple fan, this is just my personal opinion of the Apple event and everything that came out of it. I would also like to touch on the fact of, I do appreciate one thing being a photographer and videographer. I do appreciate the fact that Apple actually put into their phone 4K at 60 frames per second recording on the iPhone 10 or iPhone X, whatever you want to call it. That is a huge step in the right direction. I believe the Note 8 is the only other phone that is going to have that, which makes them a comparison to each other. And because Apple had originally claimed that their screen size was going to be the largest ever, however, the ratio of screen size to body, to bezel, if you will, is actually greater on the Note 8 by like 2% than it is on the iPhone X. So in some ways, some of the specs right off the bat aren't as good, but it's all going to be a hands-on review comparing the two of them together. That's how we're actually going to be able to find out which is the better phone. Now, to say that one phone is better for everybody is a blanket statement that we cannot make, because if you have always used an iPhone and you're always familiar with an iPhone and you're happy staying with an iPhone, then that is your personal opinion, and I'm not here to sway your opinion in any way. I would just like to inform you in as many ways as I possibly can, and that's what I'm trying to do. One other huge thing that I think is amazing that Apple released is their Apple Watch Series 3. And I believe they did a really good job of this because they incorporated LTE, which is a huge step in the right direction. So the fact is, you no longer have to have your phone with you connected to your Apple Watch all the time, because the two sets of notifications are just bashing against each other, and the Series 1 was starting to become laggy because it just wasn't able to do stuff fast enough. And so them having LTE, which means you don't have to have your phone with you ever, and yet your Apple Watch can do the exact same things as your phone does now, which is perfect. So in summary, I want to just point out, I don't know if I'm going to be getting a iWatch. I'm not 100% sure of that. The Apple Watch, sorry, what am I saying, not iWatch. I don't know 100% if I'm going to be getting that. It looks like a very, very interesting design, and I appreciate the fact that they actually put LTE in it. I don't know if I would buy the version with LTE in it, just because I simply don't need it, and I'm not sure if that would be costing an extra amount on my Rogers bill and stuff, so it wouldn't necessarily be worth it for me. But at the same time, I do either want to get the iPhone 8 Plus or the iPhone X. The iPhone 8 Plus is already out for pre-order, and it's not even coming close to selling out, so I'm not really worried. However, my contract on this phone ends around Christmas anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. So I have some time to kind of do my research, get a more informed opinion on a couple of different devices that I'd be looking into, and then make my final decision. Now, one more thing I want to point out before I end this video is there is always a chance that by Christmas the iPhone X is not available for two simple reasons. Either it hasn't come out properly yet, they haven't finished developing it, and the release date is going to be late, which could happen because there are so many components going into this, and it is something that Apple has never put together before. It is not close to any of their other phones that they have put together. The second reason being it is sold out, and it might not be available at Rogers at the time, and at that point I might have to try and buy it outright from somebody else. Resale will be insane on these devices, because the 256 gigabyte iPhone X or iPhone 10 is over $1,500 here in Canada, which is not cheap by any stretch. No phone should be $1,500. There is no reason it should be that price, and the only reason that it is that price, there's no valid reason as to why it should be that price. The reason it is that price is because it has the name Apple on it. And I don't appreciate that from Apple. I don't see why it's mandatory for you to make all of your products so damn expensive that it becomes an exclusive high-end product. When you want more people using it, you would make it a more affordable device. That's my opinion. So, now that you guys have heard my opinion about the Apple event and what I think about the upcoming devices and everything, you guys can make your own opinions. I will leave links to the devices down in the description below if you want to check them out, if you want to check out the specs. At another date, I'm also going to be talking about the iMac Pro, which is coming out, which is going to be the most beast of a computer that I have ever seen with any company. Apple has blown every single company out of the water with this and just taken it to a whole other level of computer. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little informative video, and make sure you like, subscribe, and have fun, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. We got a lot to do again tomorrow at school and Frisbee. Good night.